And we are back with Jason Vanderfort, Jeff Ross, and Travis Hilton. Let's try and continue right where we left off.
Yeah, I was going through the analyses of
Adjusts glasses.
skateboarding games. And so Tony Hawk Pro Skater came out like 2 weeks ago, the new remaster of those, and
turned you into a ska fan for a little bit.
That's right. It has done dark things to my psyche. The trumpets haunt me, but like it's funny.
Hopefully the only trumpet reference that we'll have in the episode.
Beautiful.
Like, it's funny because I have like a terrible memory for lyrics, but I keep getting Superman by Goldfinger stuck in my head.
I keep calling them Silverchair.
You know,
that's the wrong band.
Close enough. You know, I sit on my fingers all the time for... Anyway, I, so I keep getting that song stuck in my head, and especially the part where it's like, getting older all the time, getting older all the time, and it's like on a loop. And I think about that song from like 20 years ago, and it's nostalgic, and the game is nostalgic, and I'm just like, I'm getting older all the time. I'm getting older all the time.
The deeper, pervasive messages of Tony Hawk 1 and 2.
Just like burrowing into my brain. But worms aside, it's really fun. It's a great little arcade game. It's something that I burned through the story of it, or story mode rather, the tours. Because just like the old games, you know, they give you like break 5 crates, grab 5 letters, grab the secret tape, you know, and get 50 grand points. Yeah, it's awesome.
I totally forgot about
so
that
did
stuff.
I.
Yeah,
Man.
it's
Get the letters that spell skate.
Exactly, skate, and it's just so it's enough to keep me, like, interested, you know? And it would work for anyone of any age, it seems. Like,
right.
Even back in 2000 or whatever,
yeah.
I was sitting there, 10-year-old Jeff, just mashing buttons and trying to get skate. And, like, try to find those bells on the school level or whatever. You know, how do I get that goddamn secret tape? It's too high up in the air.
Would you say that you're a better Tony Hawk Pro Skater player now or when you were a kid? Because I know, like, sometimes when it comes to some of these, like, classic games, especially the ones that we've played as adults and as kids.
Forever,
yeah. Like, we'll remember thinking to ourselves, how the hell did I do that? Have my reflexes dulled so much? Has my brain turned to complete jelly?
Yeah. So, it's funny because I remember telling you, like, when we tried it last week, like, my 10-year-old self would kick my ass at this game.
Oh, yeah, right.
And... I've played it enough again now that I think I could beat my 10-year-old self.
Nice.
You've progressed.
I've progressed. Like the old kid, little Jeff, he was a master of the manual and would manage, like at least in my memory, maybe I'm glorifying myself, but it seemed like I didn't crash nearly as often as I do now because I keep, you know, it's a matter of greed. That's what it all is. It's
I need one more manual. I need one more.
Exactly.
I need another multiplier.
Yep.
And crash! God damn it!
Yeah, restart. Yeah, it's just like that. It's how far are you willing to go? Will you risk it all for the points? You know?
Yes.
And speaking of the soundtrack, I mean, it's got Superman, it's got Guerrilla Radio, it's got it's got When Worlds Collide, and that's
5000.
That's right.
Yep. It's got some Bad Religion on there too, which makes me happy.
And it was also a game that the demo was gold.
Mm-hmm.
My neighbor, he had the closest PS1 that I could get my grubby little paws on. And we played, you know, Twisted Metal and all that good stuff. But, you know, we ordered pizza one night, and, you know, because you got the pizza, you got the demo.
Yes.
And I'm like, what is this? And so you get into, you put in the disc and plays that demo. It sets you in that first area, and all you could hear is, Powerful Man 5000,
Yeah.
Silverchair, Silverfinger, whatever the fuck that band name is. And he just played that. Like, I think the time limit was 5 minutes?
Yeah,
4
it's
minutes?
funny because it's 2 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It gives you only 2 minutes to play through the level, and that's...
He just kept doing it.
Exactly. That's, the thing that really gets just... It seems so addictive because I keep mashing, it's only 2 more minutes, it's 4 a.m. Who cares? It's
it doesn't matter. I don't have church in the morning.
Yeah, it's gonna be 4:02 when I'm done. Big deal, right?
Yeah.
And then it's 5 a.m. So yeah, I've been playing the hell out of it and loving it. It's got all the tricks and tools of the trade. The customization is fun. It's the areas that you have. Some of them are based on reality. It turns out.
Wow.
So you can go to a real skate park in Portland, or you can go to a real skate park in Marseille, France, and it's pretty sick.
That's super
awesome.
cool.
Yeah. And they actually, I don't know. It turns out that I didn't finish Tony Hawk 2 when I was a little kid, because there were some levels I never played on the remaster. And
So that is proof enough that
Yeah.
you are better
that's
than
right.
10-year-old Jeff at Tony Hawk.
So though, and I think they added some new levels, including Skate Heaven, which is just enormous, and it has the voice of God yelling at you if you fall off the map and stuff
You
like that.
suck.
Exactly.
Do
He says you suck. Yeah.
Do
Yes.
a kickflip.
Skate on, my son, is what he starts with,
For real?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
L block.
Yeah.
Just kidding. That's meta.
So yeah, it's I don't know, I give it a 10 out of 10. I'd give
Oh,
Skate 3 a 10 out of 10. We usually don't review these games we play, but that's what I'm doing right now.
Do it, man.
But speaking of progress in Tony Hawk 2, that game taught me what a corrupted save file was. That's
Oh, no.
that's a bad time. Yeah.
Oh.
Back in N64 days, it was yeah, my corrupt. What's that mean? Oh, I lost my data. It's so you lose your skate park, you lose your bro you've been working on, but you learn to survive.
You learn and move on.
That's right. We suffered. Those days, just true hardships, but we persevered.
The
I'm
Wild West of gaming.
I'm just imagining you walking up the stairs and going up to your dad. Dad, what does corrupted mean? He lights a cigarette.
Sit down.
I can tell. Yeah. Just watch the news with me for 5 minutes.
God.
His dad is not Clint Eastwood, but
Yeah.
Jeff wishes.
for the sake of this example, that's kind of how I'm envisioning it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You're excused.
Yeah. But I mean, Trav was just talking about playing the demo over and over. Did
Oh,
you
yeah.
play the Tony Hawk games at all when you were younger, Jason?
Oh yeah. You see, so I did not have an N64 right away. There was a good because I got consoles later on in their life cycles
yeah.
currently.
Me too.
And even though Tony Hawk games were on the PlayStation 1,
Mhm.
I just I didn't have that exposure. And so
Yeah.
I think I basically played Friend's copy a little bit similar to kind
Sure.
of what you were describing. So for me, my big exposure for the Tony Hawk games was kind of like what I had mentioned in the previous segment, which would have been Tony Hawk Underground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was kind of like them trying to put, a bigger focus on the character building and narrative
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it. I think I can't remember if it was Underground 1 or 2, but one of those games, it asks you to join a team. Either a team headed by Tony Hawk or a team by ran by Bam Margera.
Okay.
And I want to say I went on Team Bam because Viva La Bam was big.
Viva La Bam.
Yeah, it was big on TV at the time, which those who may not know, Viva La Bam was just a more skateboarding focused version of Jackass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's basically Bam Margera punking his parents.
Yeah.
Like 3 o'clock in the morning, Bam Margera would be like, he has some symbols and he's gonna crash them together and screw his parents' sleep cycle up.
Right. Exactly.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
It was-
Exactly.
it was funny.
Right. Yeah. For teenagers. Yes.
He will exploit the family dynamic for content.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He would have been a great YouTuber.
Yeah.
You know.
Side tangent of Bam Margera show. My favorite aspect of that was their uncle, whoever his name is, Uncle Louis, whatever, for time's sake. And whenever he got like flabbergasted or like flustered, he would just like start yell mumbling.
Yes.
You know.
It just all semblance of English left his brain.
Yeah. And the greatest part is they'd have subtitles underneath, but the subtitles would be spelt as the gibberish.
Pretty funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
So that's quality
incredible.
comedy writing.
It really is. But yeah, I played the Tony Hawk Underground games, which from kind of like what I understand is like around Underground and a couple of the games after is kind of when the series started to have like a bit of a downturn.
Yeah.
And so there was a bunch of them that I hadn't really played.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was framed in such a way, whereas like, the way that the Tony Hawk games treated skating games was kind of becoming less and less in vogue.
Right.
And then when Skate 3 came out, I honestly...
And the first two skates, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or no, yeah. Like, but Skate 3 was the one that, like, was big, it felt like.
Sure.
Like, Skate 1 and 2, I'm not sure, where they were,
Yeah.
at the time. But, like, Skate 3, it seemed like a bunch of people who had been playing skateboarding games, that was their exposure to skateboarding games that treated the sport a little bit more realistically.
Yeah.
Like, even in, like, the original, like, Tony Hawk's Undergrounds 1 and 2,
Yep.
It had a very arcade sensibility.
Right.
So it's like the tricks and the way you linked all the tricks together was outlandish.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which you
got
couldn't-
the points.
Yeah.
And the points were addictive.
Yeah, like bajillions of them.
Yeah.
But then when you get into Skate 3, it's all very grounded.
Mm-hmm.
So like to the point where it
Realistic.
Just like, yeah. So for people who had kind of come from the really, really zany arcadey aspect of it, Skate 3 was refreshing in like how serious it took it.
Yeah.
So
And from what little I've seen of Skate 1 and 2, the longer the series went on, it was more humorous, basically, but Skate 1 was even more just like gritty skating, basically, and Skate 2 was the same way, I guess. I don't know. I played a little bit of Skate 2, never tried 1 myself, but
okay.
I think you're right. Maybe Skate 2 was almost as popular as Skate 3. I don't know, but like, I guess I'd have to look up the data. But I don't want to go to Math Town or anything like that. So, anyhow, you're kind of bringing us to our major thesis of these episodes of.
Over 1 hour into the episode. And
Yeah. Finally the point, and this is why we never get together.
Well, it's really, we wanted to talk about simulation games and maybe contrasting them with arcade games a little bit. Travis is a big sim game fan.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
The biggest sim game fan I know.
Yeah, same. Which is what kind of led us to the idea of,
Because I was playing Skater XL and I'm
Bring
like,
me out of the cage.
yeah, right.
It was funny
Release
because
the trap.
when I when Jeff first told me the idea, like, hey, this is the idea that I'm kind of thinking of for this episode. I'm like, cool, yeah, let's do it. You want to talk about like skateboarding? I'm going to talk about Deadly Premonition, and was like, this is going to be a good time. But then as time went on, we were like, oh yeah, Travis kind of wants to do an episode, so I was like, we can just make it about sim games. And he's
Yeah.
like, I had the same idea.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, it's just like this nice little perfect storm about how it all came together.
Right.
Totally.
I love that stuff.
So would you say that Microsoft Combat Flight Sim 2 is your favorite sim game? And if you don't think so, you're wrong, because it's number 5 on your list. Actually, wait, no, Elite Dangerous is a sim game. That's number 1 on the list.
You were
By
about,
mistake.
you were about to paint him in such a corner, but then your own data
Yes.
came back to just bite
I was
you.
so afraid of being painted in said corner that only Elite Dangerous could set me free.
Yeah.
No, that Combat Flight Sim will always definitely have a place in my heart. I played 3. That was infinitely harder because a lot of sim games is unless you have a specific objective like a war sim.
Yeah.
A lot of it's make your own fun.
Right.
And while you're making your own fun, you have all these difficult operations that you need to perform in order to get to where you need to go.
Yeah.
And for me, in that lies the fun. I like the challenge. I like the realistic aspects of, like, hey, I can start up a 747 and Flight Sim 2020 and go to an actual 747 and do the same damn thing. And I'll be able to start it up and illegally take off in a 747. So, like, that whole aspect is just, it makes my brain go bonkers.
Understandably so. Like, and we were talking about this for sim games. Like, Trav, you mostly, would you say it's like the flight sims, and then you have like the trucking sims, and that you've got
the driving sims, trucking sims on my, like, again, I had mentioned in the last segment, like, for some people, like, sims can be mildly boring.
Sure.
Because, you can't find you don't have a clear objective or a clear goal in mind to, like, buff your character, or there's nothing to shoot. But, so you take a look at my PS4 screen, and anyone would be like, kind of start tearing up, bored to tears, because every single thing is like some categorization of like a driving sim or a flight sim or a boat sim or blah 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 blah. And so the driving sims I like in particular, I have this game called Road Runner.
Sure.
Or a Snow Runner.
Yeah.
There we go. Which is basically ice road truckers in video game form.
Yeah.
Premise is you're in one of like 3 or 4 areas, in particular Michigan, and the town has been ravaged by flooding. So you are the single sole person on the road, delivering goods and materials to construction companies to build bridges and like clear rock slides and like repair roads and get oil refineries going again.
Gotcha.
And that kind of thing. So what you do directly affects the map that you play on, and it makes it easier to navigate, obviously.
Yeah,
that's kind of neat.
Like 98% of the world is mud and snow. And
that sounds similar.
Yeah.
like you can't go 200 feet without like getting stuck in mud and the game grinding to a snail pace halt.
Sure.
And like that's where the fun is.
Yeah, right.
Because
I'm sorry, I didn't pronounce that. Yeah, right.
See? No. Because not only do you like semi-real physics to where you can't just like put the pedal down and hope like hell you can get out.
Yeah. Press R2 to deliver.
Yeah. If you're stuck in the mud, you have to like finesse your way out. You have to figure out which gear you need to be in. High, low, like the transmission lock, differential lock, actually, all that kind of high speed, low speed, the high brain power of blah blah blah. It's fascinating to me to figure that out. It's kind of like a puzzle, because once you get all those pieces figured out and you get out of that hole or whatever you're in, I was like, I did it.
Absolutely.
I can get to this next spot. I can build that bridge.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. It sounds like that game in particular has more of like a progression to it as well, which
absolutely.
makes it. Like,
That's what turns most people off, is because they don't
The
have
Sims,
they don't have a feeling of a sense of progression. But like having a game world that gradually opens up to you and becomes more accessible based on your choices and the things you do.
Precisely.
That creates a good gameplay loop that people can, sink their teeth into.
Right. And I feel like a majority of Sims has that thing. Though in order to get to that spot, it takes significantly longer than as you would with a normal game of, like, I don't know, a shooter or an RPG or something, where, like, you do a thing, you level up. You do a thing 3 times, you level up again. You do a thing 12 times, you get a special tool.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great game.
Yeah, right?
I'm in.
Yeah.
So, it takes longer for the prize. Like Pokemon, for example.
Yeah, shit on Pokemon. Yeah.
Don't you dare.
I love Pokemon. And
Suck it, Jeff.
I also hated the time it took me to get a Dragonair.
Suck it, Jason.
Suck it, both of you.
I think it's Dragonite you meant.
Dragonite, yeah.
The big yellow jolly one.
Yeah.
Correct.
See, I don't even know anymore. It's been years. So, we were, like, Jason and Jeff we were all at Jeff's house. And, like, we had a couple other friends there. And we were playing with Jeff's new throwing knife set.
Because we were teenagers.
Yep, teenagers, whatever, man.
Yep.
Throwing knives are cool.
Yep.
And they were having a good time doing that, not killing themselves, but just, throwing knives are cool. Where's Travis? Sitting on the steps with his Game Boy trying to get a Dragonite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grinding.
Grind.
That mental picture is just so funny to me.
Wow. That really brought me back.
Yeah. Just like, there's few things that could better encapsulate like a group of teenage nerds. Hey, we got throwing knives. But Pokemon.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I think we were older than teenagers at that point.
No.
Like, because I was working at Walmart at the time, and that was, 20.
We both were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. That brings us to 2000. Who cares? But it's about 21, 22. Yeah, brings us. So early 20s, early 20s, but
which is basically still teenagers.
Yeah. We really shredded that
picnic table.
That picnic table, especially in my dad's shed.
No one was harmed.
Yeah. I just like. You know what? Throwing knives are cool. I stand by it.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I've settled my nerddom for all time.
Oh yeah. When you're on a video game podcast.
Oh wait.
Uh-oh.
Yep, you've already settled that, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So, what's interesting to me is that speaking of sim games, like the biggest, most popular sim game is The Sims.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's one of the least simmy sim games, in terms
Indeed.
of like how it's definitely got like more of a cartoony feel to it.
It's an arcadey, cartoony sim.
Yeah, right. It kind of blurs the lines of what's a simulation game, and I suppose like SimCity, which is what like the Sims creators first made in terms like they went. I don't. They had other Sim games from what I understand.
SimCity I feel is more of a sim.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
its
it's way more traditional.
Definitely.
traditional sense than Sims.
Exactly.
Yeah, but still.
So they were like, maybe they're just capitalizing on that brand name to make the Sims, and still be in that sort of family of Sim games.
Yep.
But that it's one that I played a lot when I was younger, and I also played SimCity 2000. And,
Oh yeah.
made your own fun in terms of like, how long will you work on building this city until you summon the robot monster to crush all the town people?
It was always the giant meteor for me.
Yeah.
Or the tidal wave. One of the two.
Yep.
If I could mash it, it'd be the meteor every time because I had this innate appreciation for Armageddon. That movie is like destruction. Yes.
So wait, so could you have the choice of which cataclysmic event happened to your city?
Yeah.
And you didn't pick giant robot.
No.
Okay.
Asteroids, man.
I mean, yeah, but it's like you're also the biggest Gundam fan I know.
Oh.
That's that. See, there's my confusion.
Yeah, good call. But at the time, like Sims 2000. When
It was
that around?
like it was a spider-like robot. It wasn't like a mech,
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
there was that, and
Okay.
like based on when SimCity 2000 came out, was like will directly affect on whether I was a fan of Gundams then or not.
Oh yeah, it was like I think around the year 2000.
There's
Sure.
also the Y2K bug, So like that's
Yeah.
like exactly the kind of event that would probably that everyone thought would happen. But if it
Yeah.
was a spider-like robot instead of like a bipedal walking mech,
Right.
okay, I back off of my previous stance.
Yeah, I think Gundams for me was like more of a 2002, 2003 thing.
Okay, carry on.
I played a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon, which is more like that.
Dino Park Tycoon.
Yeah, another cartoony sim. It's sort of like crossing into the management sort of game.
Yeah.
But I have to say, like, when you said semi-real physics, that struck a chord with me because it's like sometimes one of the most fun aspect of a game, where you get like this, it's so real, but it's also hilarious when it doesn't work perfectly.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of like the only fighting game sim that I can think of that's not like a boxing game, and that's Deadliest Warrior.
Oh yeah! Oh man!
Those games were hilarious.
Oh, yes, they
based
were.
off of the Deadliest Warrior TV show, in which they were like, who would win, ninjas or knights? Or who would win, pirates or ninjas again?
Ninjas must have won against the knights.
That's right.
And so the first game you just picked one of those classes like knight,
Right.
pirate, whatever, etc.
Shaka Zulu.
And the second game exactly, you picked who would win?
Like historical
It would be
figures,
like Cortez versus Hannibal or something, and
Yeah.
like
Like
Alexander
Joan
the
of
Great.
Arc or whatever.
Yeah, and
I was either a Vlad the Impaler main,
Yep.
or I was a Cortez main.
sure.
Yeah.
My guy was Sun Tzu, you
Yeah.
know. And I also liked Alexander as well because he was OP. Just having that full arm, like enormous bronze shield, full armor
Did he
set.
have the bow? as
He had
well?
this Alexander. I think every character had a
They had
projectile
a ranged weapon of
yeah.
some
Yeah.
kind.
Like I was trying to think of the Scottish guy.
Oh, Wally.
Oh,
we
yes.
called him
William Wallace.
yeah,
we
William
called
Wallace. That was my main.
Yeah.
exactly. I think we called him Wally, or I did, or something. But yeah, no, you'd be like the fun thing in that game. You take 2 stab wounds and you're down or something
yeah,
for the
yeah.
round. Or,
And you can get dismembered.
yeah, exactly. And like you're sitting there, you're squaring off for position for like 20 seconds, and then somebody throws a javelin and
In
game
the
over.
eye.
Yeah. But
It's funny, yeah. You going into fighting games, it's like kind of I do not have nearly as comprehensive a background with Sims as you guys do. But like when you were talking about Deadliest Warrior, it was kind of making me think about something that had crossed my mind earlier. Is like for in the early '90s when we'll say just like Street Fighter, was like the big fighting game.
Yeah.
But then especially when you get into like PS1 and 64 console era, is when Tekken comes out.
Yeah.
And at the time, Tekken was very grounded.
Yep.
Like there was no projectiles, no really like gravity defying things that happened in it. And and each button was assigned to a limb for your fighter.
I mean that was the game that I was brought up with.
Yeah.
That's the one. Like I know you, like Street Fighter for you.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Absolutely.
Smash Bros, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Tekken, because again, Jesse, my relative, we always played Tekken. He always used to kick my ass, unless I was Yoshimitsu.
Ah, yes. But
Sword Straits.
But also like Tekken was almost kind of on that similar tangent.
Yeah.
Where it was like a fighting game that felt like, so people would play it and it felt more real to them, and so like it clicked. And also Tekken has a much higher skill ceiling.
Yeah.
And just because like of all like some like characters have just such a huge pool of moves at their disposal. And it's 3D as opposed to just 2D. But I don't know, like that was always one of the things that like I got into Tekken also a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I mean Tekken is like it's a fun time.
It is, and it it sort of evolved into having like some of those magic moves.
It is just as anime now as Street Fighter. Yes.
They even have Akuma in there, for example,
Who
in
can
the
throw
newest
projectiles.
one.
Yeah.
It's, but there is another Skywalker, and it's because we were talking a little bit about wrestling games when we were talking about Sims, and it's funny because you're simulating a television program, I guess, that is fake,
Looking at you, Fallout.
or like it's. Are you thinking Fall Guys by
Fall
chance?
Guys, yeah. Not Fallout. Fall Guys.
Yeah, yep, that's a fun one.
Right.
But the only thing that's missing from these sim games, like from when we started playing like the newer wrestling games in 2009 or something like that, around there, and like you had, the only thing missing is that it's obviously fake in real life, but when you're playing the game, they're actually beating each other with the chairs and shit.
Right.
But we had a great time with those games.
Yeah, that's definitely, again, when it comes, like I said, my simulation experience is quite a bit less, and so wrestling games have probably been my closest thing to that sort of experience, because it's like with the wrestling games, it's got all of like the holds and whatnot that you can do, and many of the moves are very accurately recreated to the various like WWE people who have performed them.
He's got the chair.
By God.
Travis Hilton with a chair.
Clang.
And it's like, and kind of like how I was mentioning earlier with those career modes, we'll call them, in sim games, basically. The WWE games had them in there.
Yep.
And so like, and it was similar to Underground, in which like you are just this person who is just picked up
by like Stone Cold
from
Steve
nothing.
Austin.
Yeah. I think in the one that we had, you are a fan attending an event.
No way.
Yeah, you're a fan attending an event, and so you're just in the crowd. And one of the wrestlers who was, I think, who would have been a villain at the time, they do something and they like provoke you. They're being a villain, and something manages like to get you like out of the audience, and so like you will be fighting this person who is a heel currently, which is a villain in wrestling. Like you'd be fighting this person, and so you beat them, and they were like, okay, yeah. you got potential, kid.
And then you're thrown into the wild world.
Exactly.
Of wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
Wild world of wrestling.
Wild roller wrestling. Yeah, the WWW. And so I just remember, like, with those career modes, I'm glad we were able to segue into this, because in the wrestling game that we all had, or we kind of shared, this is when Travis and I were living together, and like, so there was like this kind of copy of one of the WWE games that was just like, it was a shared game basically, you know, so we were all creating our own characters on this. So we were rapidly creating like our own roster.
Our own little universe.
Exactly.
Of wrestlers.
And that was so fun. So
Absolutely.
like when we would have a Royal Rumble, which for those who don't know much about wrestling, a Royal Rumble is an event where there are wrestlers are pick a number between 1 and 30. And if you're picked number 1, you are the first person in the ring. And so the objective is just to be the last person in the ring. And so if someone is thrown out, say number 5 is called in, and so on and so forth. So someone who draws a late 20s number has a distinct advantage over someone who happened to be number 1. So when we would play like the Royal Rumble, you know, like we would have, you know, real like famous wrestlers, like, okay, so the Undertaker's coming in now. And then like number 14 would be my created wrestler, Sparky, who was a high flyer. And,
oh my gosh.
and so it was just like the opportunity, like you mentioned a couple times, to create your own fun with it.
Yep.
Like, so the idea that we were able to create like this great big roster, you know, of like just these incredibly zany wrestlers was just like, that is probably some of my most fond gaming memories, is like the idea of like that created thing that we did. And Jeff in particular had a very notable character within our repertoire.
You know, I had a character called Mikhail Kalashnikov. He had the broadest shoulders beyond humanly possible.
Yeah.
He was like 500 pounds of muscle, basically.
7'8".
Yeah, he maxed out the shoulder strap.
Yeah, and he wore he was totally bald, but he had a big white
The Russian
handlebar
hat.
mustache.
Yeah.
And yes, the tall furry hat, and he wore a red unitard with the USSR or CCCP on the front, and then the like hammer and sickle on the back.
Yep.
Big boots, you know, so the big boot could connect. And he
basically any trope you could think of with Russian
exactly.
stuff
yeah.
was in this character.
Yep.
And so when I could not remember the story mode at all. So when Jason was just talking about like challenging somebody in the crowd, I just pictured like this 7'8" guy standing in the crowd enjoying some wrestling, and some idiot is like, "Oh, I'll take you on." And he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
This is my chance.
It makes me think about Kung Fu Hustle. When when the one guy, he's like ready to kick someone's ass, like, I'll beat you up. And then the guy walks out from the crowd. He looks like a tiny nerd, and he just walks out, and he's impossibly built. No, not you. Go back, go sit down.
Not what I meant.
Yeah.
yeah.
So Jeff's created wrestler, Mikhail the Hammer Kalashnikov.
Yeah.
And so our friend Josh decided to make his tag team partner the Sickle.
Yes.
And he was just this tiny weaselly guy. And so like they even had like a tag team intro.
Yeah.
And their music was set to the Russian national anthem.
Of course.
And so Mikhail's just strutting into the ring like with the biggest walk possible.
And the Sickle was like hyping the crowd up and doing flips and shit.
It was just so.
I'm already hyped. I'm like,
exactly.
I haven't seen this in like 10 years.
Yeah.
And just by you guys explaining it, I'm hyped.
It's
Let's
so-
go.
It was so fun. You know, I just have so much fond memories of that.
And you know what? There was even a create a story mode in that game, like one of those, like 2K10 or something like that. And you could. It was very long and arduous to make your own like cutscenes is what it would have you do.
Oh.
But so I created like 30 seconds basically of Mikhail's story mode. And he would, like, walk in, and they're like, Mikhail, are you ready to kick some ass, or something like that? And he just goes, duh, I appreciate. And then, and there's like, all right, man, so what we're going to do, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And I just used the same scene again of, duh, I appreciate. And then it's just, so...
Beautiful.
It was fun. It was a fun game.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, create a character leads to tons of fun.
It really does. Yeah, it's the
customization. I think customization in sim games are like, you have, like, for sim games you have to have customization. Otherwise, that's just another fun aspect being taken away that you could utilize for the game to be just fun.
Yeah.
A lot of the sim games that I play, I would describe to Jeff and Jason here. And Jason almost always was like, I thought games were supposed to be fun. But it is fun.
Right.
To me.
Right.
And meanwhile, I'm just like straight-faced cool. You know, like, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I'd love it. Love it. Travis even plays Mechanic Simulator.
Yeah.
Called out. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't invite him on the show to throw him under the bus.
Well, if he was under the bus, he could probably fix it better.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay. Well done.
Slow clap. Yeah, Mechanic Simulator. Great game. For those who are into mechanic simulators. Basically, premise, you start off with a teeny tiny garage, and you do story mode cars that, like, fix the battery, or fix the exhaust pipe, or whatever. And as you progress, you get the money and the experience to, like, get more tools, or expand your garage, or do more stuff. Ultimately leading to the point where you don't even have to do like story mode cars anymore. You can go out into the game world's junkyard, essentially, find a car that you really like, and the cars are like real world licensed. So you have your Jeep, you have your Ford, you have like Maseratis and Jaguars and whatnot. Like supercars too. Like a trashed version of a Bugatti is hilarious. But you can take these cars and fix them all up. You flip them, and you can design them how you want to.
That's awesome.
And then sell them for bango big bucks.
And bango big bucks.
Bango big bucks. Yeah. So that's the appeal.
Yeah.
But like I was saying earlier, the road to the big score is a long one. And I'm like, sometimes, like, even as a sim gamer, it does get, you do peter out on some aspects. Like,
right. You feel the grind.
Yeah, you definitely feel the grind, and it's like, at the end of the day, is this worth it? Who knows? Maybe I can come back to it in like 2-3 months and then be reinvigorated by the possibility of finding a jacked up Lamborghini and flipping it and making it your own and selling it. There's another aspect of being able to test drive said cars in game too. So you can fix these cars and make them like these perfect machines. And for this game, you have to be a car guy, or a car girl, car whatever.
Car person of non-specified gender.
Amen. Yeah, so you have to be that. Otherwise, obviously, this isn't your game.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, it's not something I'll be picking up.
Yeah.
Anytime soon. But it's like, but regardless, I'm still, like, I'm fascinated by it, and I'm also very glad that it's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's no other game that I've seen that is kind of like this. This is also on like PC. It just got ported for PlayStation like a couple months ago, 6 months ago, or whatever. So that's where I had seen it on YouTube being played on PC, of course. I'm like, that's really cool. And it's also like kind of therapeutic. You can throw on some music and just work on a car. And
Yeah.
it's really cool to just calm down and chill.
Gotcha.
And you're still making progress. And it's just like Harvest Moon, kind of. Like,
Yeah.
you have your progression, you have your whatever, but at the end of the day, it's just a really chill game.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm glad you mentioned Harvest Moon, because it's like, yeah, like, again, Harvest Moon and games like it, like say Stardew Valley.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Those are the closest that I personally get to simulation games. You know, with their like kind of farming simulators, along with some aspects of like social sims, and it's that same thing where the grind becomes apparent after the initial kind of newness fades, and there has this element of like, okay, yeah, do I like what's the end goal? Because many of these games, you know, the goal is vague. You know, it's just like bring this farm that's been in neglect for a long time into
thriving.
yeah, make it thrive again, and so
I just have this like make this farm great again.
Oh
Yeah,
no!
yeah. I'm so sorry.
I saw him shake his head. I'm like, oh no, I didn't mean to put it in that connotation.
No. I regret what I said.
All right, I'll go back, and so you will revitalize this declining farm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so, but where's the ending goal for that?
Yeah.
I mean, the farm can be revitalized as if it's making money again.
Yeah.
I mean, the farm could be considered working if you've just got a chicken that is laying an egg every couple days.
That constitutes as a farm in my book.
The farm is making money at that point. But then but the end goal, you know, is kind of up to your own decision. You know,
It's funny. Like, there are 2 points with that Harvest Moon that kind of makes me. I have to spit it out. The first thing I wanted to say is that with these sim games, like making it how you want to play it, however you wanted to really just make your own fun. Like, we have a friend, Ryan, who was playing Stardew Valley recently, and he has turned it into a diamond and wine factory. His farm is like just condensed into like somehow he's got just sheds upon sheds of these like just wine and diamonds, and I'm like, oh, you must be real popular with the villagers. Then he's like, I don't talk to them.
And you know, if it's Ryan, I'm not surprised
Yeah,
that it's a diamond and wine shed.
he's become the automation that he left from the corporate world.
Absolutely. You know, it's
But
but
see, for me, like when I play Stardew Valley, yes, I you know, enjoy the farming aspect, but I always go back to like the stories of the characters.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
and it's similar, you know, to my love of games like Persona, you know, which have a social sim aspect. Like I really
Still
like
want to play that game.
Yeah, I really like that genre, you know, or games that implement it, you know. So it's like I really like, you know, Persona 3, 4, and 5. And most recently, the game that I'm currently playing as of the time of we're recording this is Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Yeah.
That has a social sim aspect of it, and you're playing as a professor at this monastery. So there's also, you've got the social sim aspect, but then you're also instructing a group of students and helping them to build their skills and whatnot, and shaping them, you know, as fighters.
Yeah.
You know, and so like there's a great gameplay loop in there that once I started figuring it out, I'm like, oh yeah, this is phenomenal.
This is
like,
for
yeah,
me.
this is my shit.
Yep.
And so I'm convinced that the perfect sim game for me is out there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
absolutely.
because most of the games that I play are super like story focused, and they're fairly linear, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they're open world games, like there's always that ticker in the top left corner saying like, hey, have you assassinated that guy yet? You know, just insert any basically AAA game. And
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
have you killed this person yet? You know,
Nah. Which is funny because I'm kind of the, like you in oppositely.
yeah.
Like I've been playing Sims almost every night now. For right now, it's Gran Turismo.
Yep.
Been playing that a
Yeah.
lot. But recently I've expressed that I'm kind of feeling the mode to the pull to play like something story driven, something more linear.
Yep.
As opposed to just this. I'm a big fan of open world games too. I was going to say that this is like 20 minutes ago of conversation. The semi-realistic aspect, Just Cause, is a
good example.
of that.
Absolutely, yeah. Like that, the physics in that game are consistent and consistently hilarious. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
True enough.
Example, like number 2, I absolutely love the flying in that game, only because of the adherence to what a plane would normally do, given its flight controls. I remember you were there. One aspect, and you might need to like help me facilitate this memory.
I'll try my best.
I don't remember too much of it, but I remember getting like whatever. Anyway, here we go. I see a landing strip, and Jason already knows, he's cracking up.
No.
And I look off to my left. I'm looking at the landing strip. Okay, there it is. I need to orient my aircraft to where I need to land nicely, like butter. Anyway, so I do so, and I come down and I touch down, and I roll to a stop. Don't I blow up?
You blow up.
I fucking blow up.
Yeah, like he comes in for a perfect textbook landing, and I'm just thinking, man, that's nice. And then,
boom! Just done.
Exactly.
It's the grand fuckery of Just Cause, and all 4 installments are like that.
Exactly. And what's funny is, it's the biggest kick that I get out of that is most people playing Just Cause or games like it, if they are flying and they see their objective, they just jump out of the plane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, or
that's what a normal person
exactly.
would.
Or if they're driving there, they pop their parachute and they launch out of the car.
Yeah, again,
and so
what a normal gamer
exactly.
would do.
All right, well, here's my stop. And then the car or a plane will just careen off into where it will explode.
It always explodes.
It always explodes. But you like, you see your objective and you're like, okay, here's the nearest runway. I'm going to put this bad boy in for a landing. And then you line it up as someone should. You land just as someone should. And regardless of all of that, you still fucking blow up.
Then that's okay. This is a good segue.
Yes.
Because last night, another aspect of sim games that you don't really see much, but you feel it, is the fact that, like, even though it's a sim and it's semi-realistic, it's a simulator, there's still ample opportunities to get fucked up.
Yes.
Absolutely. Or, like, completely fuck up a thing. Point being, last night I was playing Elite Dangerous. For research purposes. Also, they have a new not patch, but new expansion coming out.
Oh,
Cool.
Where they're finally going to implement what's called space legs. What that means is...
I already have a picture of what that is.
Does it have to do with a Christmas Story and the leg lamp?
I'm just like envisioning, like, here's your ship.
Oh, on a pair of legs?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, that's, you're not wrong.
Okay.
But
Nice.
actually you are wrong.
got
But
him.
you can get up from inside your spaceship and go walk around on planets.
Oh.
And so, if you know anything about Elite Dangerous and how unbelievably massive it is as a game,
that concept is wild.
it is insane.
Yeah.
I am so excited for this whole paradigm because there's going to be more story featured. There's screenshots of your character with like a rifle, and your character can kind of like they have a jetpack.
As you should.
Or something, whatever. So that's super exciting. But the point, last night I was playing just to see how everything was going.
Yep.
And I decided, okay, I need some money to get a thing, so I'm gonna do these missions to get the money and get the thing. And
we just need money.
mission involves going to a system, scanning the beacon, finding the planet that you need to go to, get to the planet, land into the planet, find the base that you need to go to.
Yep.
And what's wild is as you're like going in atmosphere, your instruments are like triangulating its position. So like it's positioned on one point and you go to that point and it's like it switches. So you literally have to like find it as you're going in atmosphere, which is kind of tough. Excuse me. You head to the base, and this is the critical part. You need a little rover vehicle bay inside your ship to leave your ship, go into the base, scan the thing you're not supposed to be scanning, get the fuck out, and then go back to your home base to give them the information.
Sure.
Okay.
So I do all this. I get to the base, which from start of the mission to getting to the base is about 20-25 minutes real time. Because, you have to make sure you're going slow enough to get into system and this, that, and the other thing. And I land right by the base, and I'm looking through my modules, and I don't have a vehicle bay. Oh no. I can't do this mission.
Rough.
So, fucking take off from the planet, go all the way the fuck back to the base, and enter the ship that actually has a vehicle bay, which is funny. These two ships in particular, one has the vehicle bay, one does not. They are nearly the same thing. They are a crate. That's funny. The vehicle name is a crate, but I have like two variants of it. So they look the same, but they are different.
One's a crate, one's a tote.
Yes. A Phantom and a Mark II, I think.
Okay.
And I picked the wrong one. Just a simple... So that's one fantastic example of...
How you can just screw up in a sim game.
Just a simple mission.
That's right.
What's nice is they give you, like, depending on the mission, is you get, like, either 3 to 7 days real time to complete this.
Okay.
So I can go back tonight and actually pick the right spacecraft and finish what I need to.
Sure.
I hope so.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's funny.
But, like, I just wanted to go back for a second because we were talking about Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley and all that. And
Right.
It reminded me of something I said before in this podcast, is that when my grandpa first found out I was playing a farming sim, he was like, why don't you just farm? Farm. Well, he didn't say it quite like that. He said, when I was younger, farming wasn't any fun.
Yes.
He was just but that's the question is, like, for some of these sim games, like Skater XL, go buy a $50 skateboard or something.
Right.
And just, you can do it in real life. But, like, you can't buy a Bugatti or a Maserati or a Ferrari or a Tesla. I was thinking one of those would be a fake name eventually, but they were all real.
You are correct in every aspect.
You were very close to saying a mozzarella.
A mozzarella.
A Bogaruti. No, but and you
A
can't
linguine.
you can't fly a crate through space in real life yet, unless you're an astronaut.
Yeah.
Which
Right, and that's the thing.
only
yeah,
some
like,
of us are.
Right. And that's for like especially for like say for a good example is that mechanic one.
Yeah.
That you were describing, Travis.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, my dad is a very big car guy.
Yeah.
And he's been like twisting wrenches.
Oh yeah, he's been
like,
underneath cars.
Yeah,
all
hunched
his
over.
life.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, so a game like that might not necessarily appeal to him because similar to what you were saying, Jeff, about your grandpa and farming,
Mm-hmm.
it's a thing that he would rather do
In person.
But another thing is similar to you, Trav. My dad is also a really big fan of flying.
Yep.
He has been just a complete nerd over aircrafts his whole life. And he's long said that if he had the opportunity, he would have loved to have been a pilot. But my dad has bad eyes.
Sure.
And so
Yeah, you kind of need those.
Exactly. So he lacks some of the physical stuff that prevents him from doing something like flying.
That reminds me of a story.
So my dad, he's familiar with flight sims a little bit.
Yeah.
And if given the opportunity, my dad would love to play something like Microsoft Flight Sim or something like that.
The 2020 is amazing.
Exactly, because that would give him the opportunity to, like, as accurately as possible, do this thing that for his own personal reasons he is unable to do. And so, like, with the skateboarding thing, there's plenty of people who, for one reason or another, where skateboarding is largely inaccessible
Yep.
to them.
Yeah.
So, like, the great thing about having a sim like that is that it gives people the opportunity to try these things in an environment that works for them.
Or like come back to it. One of my favorite stories comes off of Reddit where there was a son and a father. The father was a retired airman, and the son has a flight setup in his home, a computer flight setup with
Cool.
the pedal, the rudder pedals, the flight stick, the throttle, and then like panoramic computer monitor view.
Wow.
Where he sits his dad down and in his dad's actual aircraft.
Okay.
And like, go at it. And like, this is the first time he sat in this aircraft, quote unquote aircraft,
Yeah.
for 20, 30, 40,
Okay.
50 years.
Wow.
Oh, not
Not
that
that
much,
long,
but
yeah.
you know what I mean. And just the aspect of being able to bring someone back to
Yes.
flying or
Yeah.
really anything, driving a
An ice road truck.
yes, I was thinking like a 1965 race car
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
or something. Yeah, that's one of my favorite aspects of Sims.
Right. Exactly. And yeah, again, going back to just like, because you're a car guy.
Yep.
My dad's a car guy. And so, and like I said, my dad has been driving cars and working on cars and has been a lover of cars like his whole life. But he will most likely not ever get the opportunity to drive a Bugatti
Yep.
or a mozzarella. So, like a driving sim or a racing sim gives him that opportunity. And that's one of the things that is just really immensely cool about the genre.
That's why I stick with it.
Either your parents ever play games?
Yes. So my mom was really into Tomb Raider.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Raider.
When I was a kid.
Whoa.
Yeah, because, and like what was great is, like Lara Croft is probably one of the first, really good like female icons in video games.
Yeah.
And the first two Tomb Raider movies with Angelina Jolie,
Yeah.
it was in a similar thing. These were really big budget action movies that were headlined by a woman.
Yep.
And my mom like really liked that.
Absolutely.
And so she watched the Tomb Raider movies, loved them, and so then she also kind of got into the Tomb Raider comics, which eventually led to her playing the games.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
That's really cool though.
Right. And so then with my dad, I mean, he's expressed like he liked watching me play Harvest Moon when I was
Fleeting
a kid.
interest.
Yeah. And he's been like he played some of the early Dragon Ball fighting games with me and whatnot. 'Cause he liked Dragon Ball a little bit. Now my dad's relationship with games is largely different. So like, and maybe I've mentioned this on the podcast before or not, but I don't remember. So like my dad like sometimes stays with me and sometimes he's in other places. Like he's retired, he travels a lot. And so when he's back in Minnesota, he lives here, you know? And so what will oftentimes happen is, say like in the morning, I'll be in the living room, playing one of the games that I'll mention here on the podcast, and he'll come down, and so he'll watch for a little bit. And so recently, he occasionally would watch me play Deadly Premonition.
Oh man.
And so like, and so he would have multiple like comments like, "Oh God, you're playing that crazy game again." And so recently, when I was playing Fire Emblem, I was doing something at the monastery where a good chunk of the game takes place, and he sits down. He's like, "Why are people always running in these games?"
Where do they need to go?
Exactly.
So quickly.
I just want to say that Byleth is my waifu.
Beautiful. Oh my God. Yes.
Yep.
My dad would play Mario Kart with me, which was awesome. And he played Mario Kart 64 because he saw his friend playing Mario Kart 64.
Nice.
Okay.
And because his friend was a babysitter of Courtney and I, my sister. And, you know, he would play with us, and he's like, "Oh, we'll try it." And he, like, it was hilarious because he would always pick Toad, and he would play, it was Mario Kart 64, and he would get, you know, if he ever got the lead, he would just go the whole time, you know, just like this giddiness of like, you know, speeding past and just perhaps beating me at my own game. And maybe that's what it was all about, defeating the child before they usurp the father.
Absolutely. So, you know, as generations progress, you know, I have a little girl, and when she gets into video games, I will help as much as I can, but I will put my foot down when it comes to Mario Kart.
No Mario Kart in that house? Is that what you're saying?
No. I will
you're not.
kick her ass. She will not win a single race. Tough love.
Yeah, you know, for some it works.
Oh man.
Ooh,
All right.
I see some lightning. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
She would play the Mario Bros. 1 with me and Courtney, and it was always fun to watch her play because she, like, every time she had to do a big jump, she would play, like, move her entire hands, like,
just get really into it.
Yeah. And my dad would also play Tiny Toons Adventures 1 on the regular Nintendo. He would help us beat bosses, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
good for him.
Yeah, I think, basically, he stopped playing when Courtney and I were around or something. Like, most, like, it sounded like he played games, and my mom played games more before they had kids. And,
Sure.
there was, like, some arcade game that was a table game at the bowling alley that they loved, is like Mr. Q or some crap, you know, or whatever. Cool. Like this,
I like that.
some sort of Pac-Man-esque thing, but
then they had kids.
Yeah, fun becomes a distant memory, you know, to some people. Actually, right now.
So now, Trav, like, in just kind of in your descriptions of, you know, some of your early gaming memories and a lot of the stuff from your top 5, you know, it didn't sound like you really had consoles at your house when you were a kid.
Yeah,
so, I'm guessing your folks maybe weren't as into gaming?
Not so much, no. Like, I think I got my first console, like the regular Nintendo, like 9, 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
And my mom played Mario with me.
Nice.
Sparingly. And, like, I don't want to be a downer, but, like, the one time that my dad came in and he was like, "Hey, can I try and play that with you?" He's like, yeah, sure, Dad. Hold on, let me just finish this level. And that like kind of gave him the signal of like, no, I don't want to play with you. So he like moved on, walked away, and he never asked again.
Wild. Oh,
Yeah, and I'm like,
sucks.
I would have loved to play games with you, Daddy.
Rough stuff.
Yeah, so,
That is rough.
Should we end it on that note?
yeah. Let's just end it on the most depressing. Cool, Travis. Welcome. Thank you for being our guest.
Play games with your family, people.
Exactly.
You know?
That's the main message we're
like
trying
that.
to convey.
You know.
But we're about at the little over the hour mark
Okay.
for this. So I think, it's probably about time that we can bring it to the conclusion of this two-parter.
The finality.
The finality. And so is there a final, like if there was a final question, I would almost ask, like just think to myself, like, because parts of this were about like games feeling more arcadey versus more sim-like. Overall, like what has given you probably more enjoyment over the years?
As far as
Between arcade versus sim,
Yeah.
like which side of those?
good question.
Yeah.
I would say arcade for sure, like just because there is a part of me that likes to try and improve the skill. I think that's a big part of the game for me, is just trying to, like, when you get like Tony Hawk, for example, is a big part of it. Like what I've been doing while I'm playing the game now is I'm trying to go through each level and try and get 1,000,000 points on each level on the ranked mode. And we're just over and over again, trying, losing, trying again, losing, trying again. It's like the sim stuff just doesn't get that unhealthy addiction part of it, and that's, I need that quick bit of
Grab.
digital heroin,
Yeah.
know.
And I think I will go with the opposing, like the sim. Just the ability to, the learning curve of any sort of sim game, whether it be flying, space sim, driving, boats, whatever. To be able to overcome the mechanical difficulties of whatever you're in.
Yeah.
And get really good at what you pilot is immensely satisfying for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, Elite Dangerous has a learning curve of 90 degrees.
Yeah.
And since then, they've put in like quality of life.
Sure.
Better tutorials or something.
Yeah, better tutorials, all that kind of stuff. Better explanations on what to do. Because when I first started playing, it's like you get thrown in a spacecraft and he's like, have at it.
Yep.
Good
Have
luck.
Yeah, right. And like, okay, well, how do I land? How do I go onto a planet? Whatever.
Sure.
Same thing with flight sims and
Yeah.
stuff.
Like both styles offer you like kind of the same thing, in which they let you like refine a skill, over time, and like both give you the opportunity like to master the game, but they seem to take it in different ways. So it's just kind of
Increments.
Seems to kind of boil down to what kind of approach you like to take in mastering a game.
Yeah.
And so like I think just in my own experience, and again, this just comes from me not having as much experience on the sim side, I want to lean towards the arcade side
absolutely.
at the beginning, just because I enjoy the idea of, like if I'm playing a game, I enjoy like having the things, kind of readily available to me, so I can get to like the core experience sooner.
Yep.
I just want to have the core experience. But, and like I said earlier, I'm convinced that the sim game for me is out there.
Yeah.
And that like it'll just take that one time, and then I'll start to find reasons to appreciate all of these other kinds of sim games, and I feel like it's just going to be a domino effect. Like there's other genres of games where I've had a similar thing, where it's like I maybe didn't get the genre at first, but then once I found an entry point, then it all started making sense to me.
And I forgot to mention that the other aspect is like when other people are watching me play said sim games, like racing, for example. And I'm actually doing a good lap time online, and the reaction from other people. Like, holy crap,
Sure.
you are moving quick,
Yeah.
and it's just practice motions
Right.
Yeah.
and understanding of the car. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
that's the other thing I like about Sims. The,
Yeah.
the satisfaction of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably easier for a casual observer to get a sim game,
Yeah.
you know?
Sure. It's what was it? Oh man, it's having one of those things where the words just fly right out of your mouth right before you're about to say them. You know.
I hate that.
But just being able to see your own score increment higher or something like that in an arcade or game. I remember what I was gonna say.
Nice. Bringing it back.
Yeah. Jace, what do you think? What could we simulate that would make the perfect sim game for you? Like, for me, it'd have to be Throwing Knife Simulator 2020.
There we go.
Oh, man.
Goat Simulator.
Oh, yes. Okay, so, like, I have been convinced that for a long time that if given the right opportunity, I would love to play Civilization,
Oh, yeah.
you know? But it's like,
Those are other
that's been
banger
one of those games that have largely just been locked behind that wall of PC only.
Yeah.
And, like, if they get a console port, they're oftentimes, like, super stripped down.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I've seen it before, you know, like, being able to play, like, Civ on the Switch.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, and the idea of being able to play Civ with, like, 3 friends and, like, have that experience, to me,
Yeah.
I think that would be just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would,
and
yeah.
I really want to find the game that, or just the situation where I can experience that. Like, one just final tiny thing, and then probably should wrap the episode up. Like,
Okay.
closest I've gotten to that is when we were younger, and Jeff's girlfriend at the time, Sarah, her dad had, like, their basement setup had a bunch of PCs in it.
Oh man.
So it was like for people like us who had basically just had, like, you know, a little like console in our room.
Yep.
Seeing this basement was just like, this is incredible.
Right.
And so we played Stronghold Crusader 2, I think.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
And
No,
so-
Stronghold Crusader 1.
Stronghold
Yep.
Crusader 1. Okay. And so that's like a medieval sim game where it's
Yep.
like, you know, kind of building towers and whatnot and attacking your opponents.
Mhm.
And even though, like, I got my ass kicked so thoroughly, the experience and just that moment was so incredibly fun and engaging that to this day I'm like, I need to experience something like that again.
Yeah, absolutely.
LAN party.
Exactly.
The
Oh,
land,
yes.
exactly. And you know, it's sort of like you can think of some of the Battlefield games as like as a Battlefield sim, or especially earlier on. You know what I mean? Like compared to like, and
What's
that
out
was
now?
another thing in the LAN party would be like there was a mod that. Which is just wild, but they made it Battlefield Modern Warfare basically, and this was before Call of Duty 4.
Yep,
and,
I remember it.
and me and Ryan just like sometimes we would turn on the robots or whatever, and it would be just way easy to just mow them down. But I was piloting a helicopter, and Ryan was in the little gunner seat, and we counted over 70 kills, and that like just enjoying this
That's
hovering moment of
so
like
awesome.
circling this. Anyway, it was you know, it's a little extreme, maybe not so simulated, but yeah, that the LAN parties back in the day, it was like jumping ahead in time, you know, like before the online gameplay really
Yeah.
started getting big, and
Right.
just having your own screen and playing multiplayer was like such a phenomenon.
Wild. Yeah. Just totally wild experience.
All right, well, I appreciate you guys listening. Thanks for checking in with us, and thank you very much, Travis, for
Yeah, I
being
hope
on
I
the
can
show
come back
today.
down
Oh, yeah.
again.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
This
you are
was-
always welcome on the podcast.
Yeah.
This was a fun Is this the first two-parter?
It is
Yes.
actually.
That you guys did?
Yes, it is the first two-parter.
Oh man.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
put the three of us together, and we don't stop talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't stop.
But yeah,
Nothing gets done.
I don't know. 2 episodes got done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sit corrected.
There you go. So yeah, until next time, hope everybody has a wonderful night. Again, thank you guys for being on the show, and we shall all see you next time.
Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.